we do need to pick a side on the game. And Jenks and I have been waffling back and forth. And here's the advice I think I would give to people who are finding themselves in the same boat. I think if you have a gut feeling that you have felt the whole time, and you can find at least 3 good reasons to stick to your guns, you stick with it. Because there is nothing more frustrating than having a gut feeling, being talked out of it, and then you lose. So, Jenks, I know you've been back and forth. It feels like you finally landed on the Niners. Can you find 3 good reasons to back the Niners here?
Yes, I can. First of all, let me say for the record, BetQL asked for our picks earlier in the week, and I chose the Chiefs. So I'm not trying to pull a fast one here, okay? I have changed my mind. So I'm not – listen, I'm going with the 49ers. And if the Chiefs win, I'm not going to say, oh, see, I made this pick for BetQL. I will stick with the 49ers. One reason is I think they are the better team, which may sound very basic. But all of this Chiefs love that I have seen over the past couple of weeks is based on the past couple of weeks. And we have an entire sample size to look at. And of course, which team is playing better matters. Which team has the most momentum matters. But a month ago, to a person, everyone would say the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. Maybe it's the Ravens. And the Chiefs can't catch the ball. They don't have the same offense. Well, all of a sudden, the Chiefs win a couple of playoff games, and we're all back on Kansas City like their receivers have suddenly become all-world. I think we could see some regression here. I think the 49ers are the better overall team. Number 2, I don't think we're giving Brock Purdy enough credit. He is a very good quarterback. And, of course, measuring up against Patrick Mahomes, you say it's Patrick Mahomes. It's Patrick Mahomes. Yes, there's no question Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback. But what else do you want from Brock Purdy? He's taken his team to the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl in his first 2 seasons. And he has more weapons to work with. And also, I don't think they're going to sabotage themselves like the Ravens sabotage themselves by getting away with what got them there in the first place. And then finally, almost everyone is on the Chiefs. And when I see this, when I see everyone talking about Mahomes as a dog, and listen, you can make an easy case for Kansas City. I get it. I just feel like based on what we've seen over the past 2 weeks in the playoffs, we are forgetting how dominant the Niners were all season long. And I think that's why they're favored. I think that's why the line hasn't moved. And I'm going to stick with San Francisco.
Doesn't it feel like the Niners have been underachieving? Have they yet to play a full game of good football this postseason? I think that's what makes me the most scared to go against the Niners here. Because at some point, they're going to put it all together. And it's almost like betting is the stock market. And this is a stock, a blue chip stock, all season long. And then it hits the dip for like a couple little notches. And you're like, okay, is it time to keep selling? No. Eventually, this blue chip stock is going to go back to where it was, all season long. So I think for that reason, there are some good cases for the Niners. And also the fact that the Chiefs, their weakness is against the run. Like, it's not like a huge weakness. They're not a bad defense overall. They're a very good defense overall, but they can be had against the run. When you have somebody like Christian McCaffrey, not a great matchup. But how about the case for the Chiefs? And I guess I will be taking that since I am on the Chiefs. This was my gut feeling. It feels super square. And I totally agree with you that everybody's on the Chiefs. And this is normally where it goes the other direction. And this is why we see those grand, big buildings in Las Vegas, because they win their money at the sports books. But the case for the Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes is an underdog. It is square but sharp at the same time. Yes, he is the greatest quarterback in the NFL and also incredible in this position. 10-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. You will hear that stat all week long, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face because it's important here. Also, the fact that this Chiefs defense has been so very good. You look at the Chiefs defense in the second half, there is a reason why their second half unders have been scorching hot. 16-2 to the second half under in their last 18 games because Steve Spagnuolo is so good at making those halftime adjustments and really putting the clamps down on opposing offenses. And number 3, the experience. Experience matters in the biggest game of the season. The spotlight's not going to be too bright for Patrick Mahomes. This is a team that's been there, done that. They've dealt with the circus of Super Bowl week. And again, they have the best player on the face of planet Earth, currently speaking. It's very hard to go against them because, Jenks, if you're on the Niners and the Chiefs have the ball with 2 minutes left to play, aren't you feeling a little nervous?
Yeah, it's over. It's over. And I know it. So, both things can be true. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback on the planet. And if he gets the ball with under 2 minutes to play, it's over. I don't feel confident about that at all. But what I anticipate or what I hope happens is that the Niners suffocate the Chiefs, slowly start to suffocate them. And by being physical and by running the football. Honestly, I think that's the key. That's the key for the Niners is you got to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. You can't have 3 and outs. You can't just go to the passing game and have Brock Purdy try to win the game for you. You have to rely on Christian McCaffrey, rely on your weapons however you can, run the football, which is the one area which we keep talking about, which is the Chiefs' weakness, and keep Patrick on the sidelines. You hear that all the time, but it's such a good strategy. If you can move the ball and take time off the clock, that will benefit the 49ers. And then you wear out that Chiefs defense to an extent. But if it goes back and forth and the Niners aren't able to move the ball, then they are in trouble because then if you get Patrick Mahomes on the field enough, he is eventually going to burn you.
The only state that has the majority of the bets on the under is Kansas. Do you think this is because Chiefs fans have been following this defense more closely than maybe some other fans?
Absolutely. If you're outside of Kansas, then look, we do a lot of deep dives on this show, and I'm not taking a shot at anyone who is betting for whatever your bet may be. But I've said this before, if you talk to casual bettors, they don't do a ton of research. Do you know what I mean? You look at a game and you say, oh, I see Patrick Mahomes. I see a lot of weapons on the Niners. This is definitely going to go over. And for a lot of bettors, that's the handicap. That's how much time they spend thinking about it. This is what we do every single day. So it's different for us. Most people aren't putting in this much analysis, which is not to say it's right or wrong. That's just how it is. So my point is that if you're not following the Chiefs closely, like fans in Kansas are, then you're thinking it's Patrick Mahomes. It's Travis Kelce. It's Deebo Samuel. It's Christian McCaffrey. There's going to be a ton of points in this game. But if you're following the Chiefs closely, like people in Kansas do, they say, yes, all of those things are true, but we've been winning games this season with our defense. And that's why I think because they follow these things more closely, that's why they're hitting the under.
Yeah, and if you've been watching, Patrick Mahomes did not put up career numbers this year. And it's not because he is a bad quarterback. It's just it hasn't been an offensive year to remember for Kansas City. In fact, there has been games where the offense has not looked good.
Which player will have a bigger game? I feel like this is pretty obvious.
Yeah, and I don't know if the question is who's going to get their receiving props and, who's not. Because you've got to remember it's not a fair playing field because Travis Kelce's props are going to be higher and the juice is going to be higher on him to score an anytime touchdown. But I think the thing going against George Kittle here is not that he is not a good tight end. Like we all know that he's one of the best tight ends
he's great.
In the NFL, but also he's really good at blocking. And I'm wondering if he will be used more in that respect if they're trying to get the ball to somebody else or whatever. And also the Niners have so many more weapons that feel reliable as opposed to the Chiefs. Because Travis Kelce, I feel like, is going to get more targets and more catches simply because the depth chart for Kansas City, think of the circle of trust for receivers and, obviously a tight end for Patrick Mahomes. Like Travis Kelce is the security blanket. So I think for that reason, it's going to be Travis Kelce.
I think you're right. And I will say, I would not be surprised to see George Kittle surprise us because he's been really banged up. And I think, last week, sat out of 3 practices trying to get healthy. So this extra week will benefit guys like him who are going to play but aren't 100%.